This is the 2025 Honda GB350S. And although on paper it might seem like your pretty average entry-level retro motorcycle, it might actually be one of the best bikes that's been built in the last few years. And in this video I'm gonna tell you why. But first we're gonna ride some beautiful country roads to find out if it's any fun. Then we're gonna go on the highway to find out just exactly how comfortable it is. And then finally make sure you stick around till the end, because I've got a pretty special way to test this thing around town. But first, let me turn this camera around and I'll tell you everything you need to know about this 2025 Honda GB350S. This thing is a 350cc air-cooled single cylinder. And then air-cooled being the key part, because air-cooled motors are usually more characterful than water-cooled motors. And this thing makes 21 horsepower and 28 Newton meters of torque at around 3000 RPM. Now for the weight, this thing weighs 178 kilograms fully fueled, which is definitely light enough. I mean, it's not a featherweight, but for this kind of motorcycle it's perfectly fine and it feels very agile to ride. Finally the price, which is actually the most insane part about this motorcycle. In Holland here it's 5,500 euros. That's crazy cheap. It's like a couple €100 more expensive than a Honda Monkey, which is, you know, a mini bike, and this is a full-size motorcycle. I can already tell it's beautifully built. There's some lovely details, there's some lovely finishing. Let's hop on now, head to some beautiful Dutch country roads, and then I'll tell you exactly what this thing is like to ride.
And these are the very roads I actually used to ride my moped on, my little 50cc Derby. And I just think that the GB350 is the perfect bike to revisit these kinds of roads on. They're very tight, they're very narrow, they have a lot of horse manure, to put it mildly. But you don't need to go fast on a motorcycle like this to enjoy it. But yeah, just look at this scenery. It's so lush and green, and then you have the cows in the fields. You have these lovely farmers' houses. I mean, look at this castle. It's insane. But anyway, back to the GB350. Honestly, you might expect it. It's absolutely lovely. Let's start off with the engine, because I think that's actually the standout feature of this motorcycle. As I mentioned before, air-cooled motorcycles tend to have more character than water-cooled motorcycles. And this is no exception. The engine is just such a gem. It has quite a good amount of punch, good amount of torque. And the sound is just lovely. This is the stock exhaust. And although, let's be honest, most motorcycles these days, they sound like a wet fart. If even that, they sound pretty disappointing. But this GB350, somehow they managed to make it so characterful. It's got this like little brab, such a nice tone. It's got a little bit of burbles on the overrun. And I honestly think it makes this motorcycle. Look at the little goatees. Oh, just hiding in the shade. So cute. Oh, I scared them. You know what's funny is that when I was a little bit younger, I never really appreciated how beautiful this country is. It's only ever since I started this YouTube channel and people have started commenting on how beautiful they find it over here. And it's made me look at my own home country in an entirely different way. I mean, beautiful old windmill here. So I want to thank you for that. Another standout on the GB350 is the riding position. As I mentioned before, the seat height is 800 millimeters, which is actually quite average. It's not that short. And the entire bike feels pretty mature. It feels like a grown-up motorcycle, you know. You got a really nice and big handlebar, so you got good leverage for these kinds of tight corners. You see it nice and upright. The seat is really long, so I have a nice amount of room to move around. The legroom, even though I am a very lanky boy, I'm 185 centimeters, about 6 foot, with very, very disproportionately long legs. Yeah, it's really comfortable, it's really nice. And that also just adds to the enjoyment, because this is a motorcycle where you want to take your time and just plod along country lanes and take in the scenery. It's nice that it's comfortable, because then you are more relaxed and you are able to enjoy your surroundings more. I mean, look at how many cows there are over here. That's crazy. So this place is a cheese and ice cream farm. And I remember a really long time ago, oh look, you can see people enjoying the ice cream over there. I went there with my grandma. We rode on her bicycle. I rode on the back of her bicycle. She was cycling. I was really young back then. And yeah, she took me for a nice ice cream. But the downside is, it's goat ice cream. I don't know if you've ever tasted anything goat. Probably goat cheese or maybe even goat ice cream. To me, it just tastes like goat. Like the smell you have at a farm, at a goat farm, that's just basically what I taste in the ice cream. So it was very sweet of her to take me there, but I didn't enjoy the ice cream that much. Alright, now that we are on a more twisty kind of road, let's talk about the third standout feature, which has got to be the chassis. You wouldn't expect it because this bike has only normal suspension, nothing adjustable, right way up forks. The brakes are just single caliper, single disc, so nothing special. But the way Honda has made those simple components work so well is just amazing. The riding position, because it is a little bit more upright and you have the big handlebar, this thing almost feels like a mini supermoto. Like you can just fling it in, get on the gas, and it just encourages you to be a little bit of a hooligan. Which is something you would absolutely not expect when you look at this bike. So it's just absolutely amazing to me, the bike that Honda has been able to put out on this budget with such simple components, and they've been able to make it work so well. Look at this beautiful village street. It's literally called Village Street. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at this. Only thing I will say, adding to the chassis, and that's my first complaint, is that the chassis is so good. I feel like this bike could use another 5, 10, maybe even 15 horsepower, because the chassis can handle it. And when you're getting to a little bit more high-speed corners, you don't have to drive to really accelerate out of corners anymore. But I think if they just made this a 500cc air-cooled single and still gave it the same amazing handling, I think that would be onto such a winner of a motorcycle, because then it would basically be perfect. But honestly, it's also fine the way it is. It's fast enough. So let's see if we can stop over here and find an empty picnic bench to enjoy my lunch on. A little off-road, no problem. So this specific GB350S from Honda has these little bags, pannier bags. So I got my chicken sandwich, iced coffee and some water in here, which is lovely. It's always nice that you don't have to wear a backpack, you know.
So why did I say at the beginning of this video that this might be one of the best motorcycles you can buy right now? Well, to be honest, in my personal opinion, I think motorcycles these days are getting too expensive, too complex, and just too much, you know. And this motorcycle right here, for 5,500 euros, and you just get all you need, you know. You get a characterful engine, you get something that's reliable, you get something that's well built. I mean, the technology is nice, of course, but I don't think it adds anything to the riding experience. And I just love the trend that manufacturers these days are going more and more back to basics and offering these more simple bikes at a price point we can all afford. I also wanted to give you a little update on this Cardo Pack Talk Black I've been using over the past few months. And it has crash detection and bigger speakers. Those are the main standout features. To be honest, I never had any complaints about my original Pack Talk. I think the Pack Talk Edge was already an excellent value. If you already have a Pack Talk Edge, don't bother upgrading. But if you're looking at getting into the Cardo ecosystem and you do ride alone a lot, like I do, you do a lot of kilometers by yourself, I think the crash protection is definitely worthwhile, because then if you do crash somewhere remote, at least someone in your emergency contacts has your location and knows that you've crashed and can call help. And then the speakers are of course always nice, it's a nice upgrade, but you can buy those separately as well. I've got my affiliate code in the description. You get a 10% discount if you use code RICK10 at checkout. And then yeah, gonna eat this lunch. We'll continue on the twisty roads and then finally go on the highway today and then see how comfortable it is.
Let me give it some beans for you. $60, $70, $80, $90, $100 before the big bump. I can already tell you from experience after riding this on the highway yesterday is that it's actually perfectly capable. I hit 125 kilometers on the speedometer yesterday, which is totally adequate. The engine is totally smooth for some reason, and I think that has to do with the gearing. This bike has a 5-speed gearbox, but the 5th speed is an overdrive. When you're just cruising like this on the motorway, it's so smooth and it's so nice and relaxing, even though it doesn't have that much power. So surprisingly, for such a small, affordable, entry-level little city bike, it actually has some legs to it, and you could properly take this on a trip.
As you might be able to tell, this week is the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. And that basically is a charity ride where people from all over the world, they dress up in support of the Movember Foundation. Today we're going to go into Amsterdam. We're going to go on the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, which will be a perfect opportunity to test this thing in the city, see how it handles that. We'll get going. Alright, welcome to the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride 2025 in Amsterdam. I have to say the lineup of bikes is already looking pretty crazy. And yeah, the vibe is pretty good. Fucking hell, the sound. I mean, imagine just being a tourist and walking around the city and then seeing this all of a sudden. Okay, so as we are now entering the city, let's talk about the GB350 for a little bit. What's it like to ride around town? Well, I can tell you, in these last 40 minutes I've had plenty of low speed experience. And honestly don't think there's a better bike I could have picked for this. Because it's only a 350. It's not very hot in traffic. And it's a very light bike, so it's easy to throw around. You have good leverage from the big handlebars. So it's easy to chuck it in. And it's just very friendly, like the throttle response is very smooth. The clutch is really light, the brakes are good, you have good brake feel. So it's just a very pleasant motorcycle to ride around town. And especially when you're doing stuff like this, where you are going to be at low speeds for a very long time. Yeah, I mean, what more could you want? The engine also works very well at these speeds. And as you can see, the people are loving it as well. And it still has the classics look, you know. I mean, it doesn't look out of place here, everybody loves it. My new friend over here, he has sort of a clip-on bar type situation going on. It's a bigger air-cooled engine, so it's pretty hot. Riding position isn't that comfortable. So yeah, for something like this, or if you're just going to be using it for commuting or riding around town, it is honestly such a solid bike. Yeah, okay. Start the chaos. And huge respect to the woman on the Vespa. She's wearing high heels. I'm gonna assume that's not easy in this stop-and-go traffic. For those of you not familiar, this is city center Amsterdam, like properly in the thick of it. So yeah, this is not normal. I mean, even though the roads are, you know, closed and monitored off, I can't help but look over my shoulder everywhere because it's still Amsterdam. And the cyclists still don't like to obey the rules. Alright, so closing thoughts on the 2025 GB350. All the people I talked to at the DGR yesterday absolutely love this motorcycle. And I can totally see why, because to be honest, I've kind of fallen in love. I kind of want to buy one. Is it perfect? Well, I think for the money you can't really ask for more. It handles well, it has a characterful engine, the build quality seems really lovely. The only thing I would personally change is the gearing. I just think the gearing is a little bit too long, and especially considering the fact that this bike doesn't have the most amount of power, I think just making the gearing a little bit shorter. And then, yeah, personally I would also strip down all of the accessories, take off the crash bars, the hand guards, the panniers, just to make it as light as possible and to improve the power to weight ratio even more. But yeah, that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like retro motorcycles, be sure to check out my Royal Enfield Interceptor 650 video in the top right over here. And yeah, I wish you a very nice day.